Hi, my name is Sandra. I'm the designer behind Foxy Patterns, where I create size-inclusive, easy-to-sew and fun sewing patterns that bring a lot of joy to your sewing projects. Today I'm walking you through a full sew-along of this beautiful Alda dress, which is one of my most beloved sewing patterns. This dress has a lot of gathers at the front and at the back, and it has big statement sleeves. When I designed this dress, I imagined a beautiful Caribbean beach and very airy and flowy dress that flows in the wind. That's why this dress works the best with the flowy fabric. So choose your fabric, thread your machine, and let's get started. For this dress, I'm using lightweight flowy rayon fabric. The Alda dress has relaxed fit and lots of gathering, which really comes to life in a fluid fabric like this. You'll want something with good drape for the best effect. The first step is to cut out all your pattern pieces, as you can see here in the video. Once your pattern pieces are cut out, the first step is to apply fusible interface into the front bodice, as shown in the video. Make sure to mark all the notches once the fusible interface is applied. This will help you in the next step where you need to fold the front. Take the front bodice and fold the center front to the wrong side at the first notch and press it really well. Then fold it again at the second notch, aligning this fold with the third notch. Press really well again. Repeat the same step on the other side of the front bodice. Then, from the wrong side, edge stitch along the fold to secure it. Give it a final press to set everything in place. Place both front bodice pieces on top of each other, overlapping the folded plackets, based along the bottom edge to hold them together. Now grab the front skirt. We're going to gather it at the waistline. First, mark the notches. It will be necessary to align the skirt with the front bodice. Set your stitch length to the longest setting and sew 2 parallel basting lines. The first at a 1/4 inch and the second at 3/8 inch from the raw edge. Don't backstitch and leave long thread tails. Pull the bobbin threads to gather the fabric until it matches the width of the front bodice. Once it's aligned, stitch to secure the gathers and remove the basting threads. With the right sides together, pin and sew the skirt to the front bodice, aligning the notches. Use 3/8 of inch or 1 cm seam allowance. One little trick I like to use is to remove the gathering stitches before I finish the seam allowances, as you can see here in the video. Otherwise, it takes a long time and it's quite difficult to remove them after you have already serged the raw edges, for example. Finish the seam allowance using your preferred method and press the seam towards the hem. Repeat the same process with the back skirt. Create your gathering stitches, pull the threads to match the width of the back bodice. Create your gathering stitches, pull the threads to match the width of the back bodice, secure the gathers and remove the basting. Attach the gather skirt to the back bodice with the right sides together and match the notches. Sew a 3/8 inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Remove the gathering stitches and finish the seam. Press it towards the hem. Now, place the front and the back bodice pieces right side together. Align the side seams, pin them together, and sew a 3/8 of the inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Finish the seam allowances. And finally, press the seam allowances towards the back bodice. Now align the shoulder seams, pin them in place, and sew a 3/8 of the inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Finish the seam and press the shoulders towards the back. Now let's work on the neckline strings. Take the string pieces and fold them in half lengthwise with the right sides together. Carefully press. Sew along the short end first, leave the needle in the fabric, pivot the fabric, and then sew along the long side of the string. Use 3/8 of the inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Don't forget to backstitch at both ends. Trim the corners, but be careful not to snip into the stitching. Turn the strings right side out using the loop turner and press them flat. Now prepare the neckband. Fold it lengthwise with the right sides together and press to create a crease. Then fold one long edge to the wrong side by 3/8 of an inch or 1 cm and press. At this stage, it does not matter which side you choose to fold under. Take your strings and align the raw edges of the strings with the short ends of the neckband, placing them along the crease on the right side of the neckband. Fold the neckband over the strings and sew them in place with 3/8 of the inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Turn the neckband inside out by pulling the strings, and there you have it. The strings are perfectly attached to the neckband. Now we will attach the neckband to the main bodice. Right sides together, pin the unfolded part of the neckband to the neckline. Pin it in place and sew it at 3/8 of the inch or 1 cm seam allowance. While sewing, be careful not to catch the folded part of the neckband. The best is to move it away. Fold the neckband over the raw edges and overlap the neckline seam slightly. Pin it or hand baste it in place and finish by stitching in a ditch from the right side. I always like to hand baste the neckband in place to ensure that it doesn't move while stitching, but you can also simply pin it in place and stitch it in a ditch. The sleeves of the Alda dress are gathered at both the top and the bottom. Start by sewing gathering stitches along the sleeve cap between the notches, again at 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch, and do the same at the sleeve hem. Gather the top of the sleeve to match the armhole, then secure and remove the basting. Then gather the sleeve hem, ensuring that it's aligned with the cuff. Fold the sleeve right sides together and sew the sleeve seam.
Finish the seam as you like. Then press the seam towards the back of the sleeve. Repeat the same steps on the second sleeve. Fold and press one long edge of the cuff to the wrong side by 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. Fold the cuff in half along the fold line and press again. This is how the cuff should look at this stage. Then fold the cuff at the short ends, unfolding the long pressed edge, and sew the short sides with a 3/8 of inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. Press the seam allowances open, and like that, your cuffs are ready. The next step is to attach the cuffs to the sleeve. To do so, attach the unfolded edge of the cuff to the sleeve hem, right sides together, and sew a 3/8 of the inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now here you can trim the seam to reduce the necessary bulk. I didn't do that because my fabric is very light. Fold the seam towards the cuff and flip the cuff over to cover that seam. Now I do recommend to hand baste the cuff in place because you need to catch the folded edge of the cuff while sewing in the ditch. And often you don't see that edge, so hand basting helps you to guide your Hand basting will help you to ensure that you can catch the folded edge of the cuff. Then stitch in the ditch, but remember to leave the opening to insert the elastic band. Now you need to choose the elastic. Choose elastic that has good stretch, that is not too flimsy but not too firm. To know the length of the elastic, measure your bicep and cut the elastic to 90% of that measurement. Use a safety pin to insert the elastic into the opening that you left in the previous step. Once the elastic is inserted, overlap the ends by 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter and secure them with a zigzag stitch. Now this depends on your sewing machine settings, but I do like to use the triple zigzag stitch on my sewing machine. However, if you don't have that option, use the zigzag stitch several times and go over the elastic to make sure that it stays secure. And there you have it. This is how your elastic looks. Place it inside the cuff and close the opening. In addition, to make sure that the elastic doesn't move in the cuff, sew along the cuff seam to keep it in place. And this is it. Your sleeves are ready to be inserted. Turn the sleeve right side out and the bodice wrong side out. Insert the sleeve into the armhole right sides together. Match the underarm seams and notches. Adjust the gathers to make sure that it fits the sleeve opening. Pin the sleeve in place and sew a 3/8 of the inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. Keep the sleeve on top as you sew to help manage the puckers. Remove the gathering stitches and then finish the seam allowances in your desired way. And this is how the sleeves should look at this point. Your dress is almost done. The only thing that's left is to finish the hem. To hem the dress, fold and press the hem at 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. Then, using the fold line, press it again at 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance to unclose the raw edge and press. I like to hand baste the hem in place to make sure that it doesn't slip and slide when I'm sewing it. To get a very neat finishing, I really like to use edge stitching foot to finish the hem. However, you don't have to do that. You can use the regular sewing machine foot. Remove your hand basting stitch and then your hem is done. Finally, the last step is to insert the buttons. Use a buttonhole template to mark the placement, typically 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter from the front edge, spaced around 3.5 inch or 9 centimeters apart. You can use fabric-covered buttons for cohesive look, or any 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter size buttons of your choice.
And that's it, your Alda dress is ready. By the way, you can also make this dress into the blouse, and there are not one but two versions of it.